Dr. Maroon publicly disagreed with former coroner, another smart person, Dr. Cyril H. Wetch, who linked Mr. Long's death with his football days. Dr. Wetch is a co-author of Dr. Amalu's papers. So now we're at about like 4 against 1 now. Like this dude, Dr. Maroon, is on an island by himself, talking this foolishness about, whatever. Dudes can get hit in the head all the time and be perfectly fine. Like people don't understand. That's what got the NFL in this problem in this situation in the first place with this lawsuit. That's why when I first saw the headline, I was like, why is this guy talking? It's the same stuff that caused these people to say we need to sue these folks, because everyone was telling them that, nah, you'll be fine. How many fingers am I holding up? It's between 1 and 3. 2 back in the game with you. Yeah. You didn't tell them that their brains were going to turn to scrambled eggs. And now they have. These people want money from you. And now you got the same fool who's been around for 30-something years saying the same thing again. After we have evidence. We have medical evidence now. It ain't even like it was 30 years ago when you didn't have all this medical information. You have it now. And he's still talking about, nah, it's not that big a deal. CTE, it's like the Easter Bunny. Don't even worry about it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wonder what your employer has to say about that. You just flying off at the lip.
Well, he's still employed. So I mean, that could be a problem in itself.
Well, that's the other thing. He
even still has a job.
Nah, because too, he's also on the board of like some big hospital in Pittsburgh too. Like these people don't have just one thing they do.
One job, right?
Yeah. So with all that being said, he'll be all right. Ain't nobody firing nobody behind this. And then, too, he kept to the company line. The game's never been safer. Go ahead, everybody, take a drink. It's never been safer. Game is safer as it's always been.
Meanwhile, they got players driving 90 miles an hour, running into fuel trucks, vaporizing themselves. Then you got guys, sitting on antifreeze.
It's a bad look, Holmes. It's a bad look.
I mean, terrible. Like just the decision making of some of these players, like for real. And I'm not trying to come up with an excuse for some of the behavior for some of these players, but like for real, like some of this weird stuff that some of these players do, and you go, where the hell did they do that? Like ultimately, like some of this stuff might end up being linked to, the CTE. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to make an excuse for anybody, because you have to be held accountable for, your own actions. But, at the end of the day, like we just don't know. Maurice Claret driving somebody with a brush handle. Like, I mean, and I'm playing when I say that. I mean, he did rob somebody with a brush handle.
No, he even said, he talked about that being a part of his depression. Him going through the depression and stuff of everything that was going on.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like something, yeah. I mean, but that's what I was saying. I was kind of playing, but at the same time, something was definitely going on to make him make that decision. So, when we hear about some of these younger guys or older guys, doing questionable stuff, then, I mean, like John Abraham, right? Like John Abraham, has done some questionable things the past few years. Now we found out this dude wake up some morning and don't even know his name.
Yeah, that's crazy because that dude was still playing up until last year.
Yeah, till this past season.
Yeah, my man, you gotta walk. Man. You gotta get up out that thing, man. I mean, hopefully you got enough loot stacked where it's cool. I understand that whole love for the game situation, but in reality, I don't know, man. We have information now. It's not enough to just blindly play on the fact that you love the game and the game has done so much for you and all that. Because the way it's looking now, the game giveth and the game taketh away, just as quickly. It's cool to understand that you have this elaborate lifestyle and things couldn't be better. But there is a chapter 2. There's always going to be a chapter 2. The game, it will never be there for you forever. It won't in any walk. Very very rarely in any walk of life. The thing that you're most passionate about or whatever you do for a living is going to be there for you for life. And especially in a game like football that has been proven to be so violent, man, there has to be a something in you that says, what's chapter 2 going to look like for me? And if it comes to like that whole Wes Welker thing, like I play about that, but this is real talk, man. Like, what are you trying to do? You trying to die on the field? Austin Collie. Like, and it's the other thing too. That I remember who was that we talked to from the Eagles. From the Eagles. What's my man name from the Eagles? The DB. His name is slipping my mind. Either way, that's not important right now. It'll come to me like when I'm not even trying to think about it anymore. The point I'm trying to make is that we were talking about the responsibility. Like the NFL has put this onus on defensive players, but no responsibility on the quarterbacks that are making these terrible throws. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Two examples. The one that Ellis Hobbs is who we were talking to. See, just came to me out the blue. Ellis Hobbs. When we were talking to him, we were talking about that play that everyone saw it. Where what's that boy's name? Dante Robinson, and these names.
And
Deshaun Jackson, right? And he and I were on there and we discussed it. And I was like, look, man, it's a simple matter of, first of all, the quarterback, Kevin Cobb, who eventually retired. Why? Because of head trauma. He had to leave the game because his head kept getting knocked into the dirt and he couldn't remember his name, so he had to leave the game of football. But it's a situation twofold. Okay, Deshaun Jackson is running. Hopefully, I'm going to paint this picture vividly enough, verbally, that you can understand what I'm saying. If you don't remember what exactly happened, he's running a drag route across the middle of the field. Right, the Falcons are in a zone; they're in a cover 2, which means the corners are rolled up into the flat area of the field. Now, the rule is if they're in zone and you're running a drag, you got to find a hole and just sit down in it. Right? He doesn't do that. He keeps running. He keeps running clear across the field. Now, the quarterback. At some point, the quarterback has to know what coverage the defense is in. But I guess Kevin Cobb wasn't as good as everyone thought he was, and he wasn't. So he decides he's going to throw the football and lead this kid into a squatting corner. So now you put the DB in a very, very precarious situation. It's like, okay, do I try to pick this ball off or do I try to break it up? And in a split second, you got to make
and he not just a little DB.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You got to make the decision like at a split second. And what happens is, from my vantage point, I've heard Dante Robinson actually talk about this. You get caught in that no man's land where you're kind of going for the interception, but you're not sure if you're going to get there. So you're in this like limbo, and he ends up knocking this kid out and knocking himself out. What happens? He gets fined. The quarterback, nothing happens to the quarterback or the receiver, who were both wrong. The receiver ran a crappy route, and the quarterback should have never made the throw. You just don't do those two things. But who gets it in the pocketbook? The DB. The second example.
That was gruesome too, boy.
The second example I'm going to give you is Peyton Manning with Austin Collie. He throws this dude. Austin Collie played slot receiver. So he's running up the seam where the tight end would usually run. He throws the ball kind of high to a little white guy. Austin Collins is a small white guy. He gets totally annihilated by the safety, right?
Yeah.
He has to leave the game. It's over for you tonight. You're not coming back, right? So they go out there and scrape him up off the turf. The next play, very next play, Peyton Manning throws the exact same route to Dallas Clark for a touchdown. Of course it's a touchdown. You can't touch the dude now. You just killed the first guy. But it's that all that stuff is cool. It's all a part of the game. Right? So if you play defense in the NFL, what are you supposed to do? Because in that situation, they just let him score. Because you can't go blow him up too after you just killed the first dude. But this is what Ellis Hobbs and I were talking about. It's like there is no accountability for the guys who are making these throws or running these poor routes. For some reason, this 210-pound safety that runs a 4.4 has to be able to control his body mid-air and avoid helmet contact. You don't know why? Because the narrative has changed. So we've got to make the game safer. No, that was never the problem. Everyone who plays football and who has ever played football understands that there is a level of violence within the game. That's one of the things that attracts a lot of people to the game, the physicality, the violence. The problem was, from the very, very beginning, was that the NFL as an organization were liars. when the issue came up about these head traumas and how it was going to affect these guys later on in life, they told them, nah, it's not going to have any effect. That's the problem. But now they want to sell you on this whole, heads-up tackling initiative. And, we're going to make the game safer and we're changing the rules. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They don't have a damn thing to do with anything. Because you can't. Unless you find a way, again, to get inside somebody's skull and stabilize their brain within that gook that it's already floating in, you can't. Because a lot of concussions don't even happen by people hitting each other. How many times you see somebody's head just bang up against the ground, the turf? You know what that is? It's another concussion. And I'm glad I mentioned that because there's a term. And I want you guys to actually, here it is. Subconcussive impacts. See, this is not the big blow up hit like I'm talking about with Dante Robinson and Deshaun Jackson. A subconcussive impact is a more routine blow to the head that linemen repeatedly endure. Just that boom, 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 that constant hitting of two heads together. These dudes are a yard apart. This is not somebody that's getting a running start. It's somebody just blowing them up in the middle of the field. This is just centering your nose tackle. They're like a yard apart. But it's that constant boom. It's called subconcussive impacts. So it's not necessarily that, dang, he got blew up. Look at him. He got to lay out. They got to come get the stretcher for him. Nope, it's not that. Like if you ever hit your head and you start seeing those little sparklies, just imagine that repeatedly over and over again. That's the problem. It's not about making the game safer.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever done this? Like hit yourself so hard, like on the elbow or something, you get lightheaded, feel like you got a concussion?
I broke my wrist and blacked out. Yeah, when I was in 8th grade. First day of practice. Broke my wrist. Broke my wrist and blacked out. Like I was still conscious, but I couldn't see anything. Everything was dark.
Right. You went out for a minute.
Yeah, I could hear everything around me. But yeah, I broke my wrist and it hurt so bad that that's funny. That you can bring that back to my memory. Yeah, first day of practice. Very first day, they was like, get in there and play offensive tackle. I was like, sure, what do I do? They was like, push the dude in front of you. I was like, all right. I just pushed him one time, and I just relaxed. And the dude that had the ball, this dude named Clay, who I think Clay's still doing a L for murder. Yeah, I don't think they're going to ever let Clay out. Anyway, he was playing running back at the time. And, he put his head down, and my arm was hanging out to my side. He hit it so hard from the back, hit my wrist so hard in the back that it broke the front bone. Like if you can imagine. Yeah. My dad said when we took him to the doctor, he was like, you sure you got hit in the back? I was like, yeah, I got hit right here. Yeah, but it's broke up here. Yeah, it's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, first day of practice. I was like, yep, this is the sport for me.
Well, you broke your bone, your wrist, the first day of practice.
Yeah, first day. First play, too. First play. They was like, get in there.
Oh, my God.
Get in there. I'd never played organized football a day in my life. Just hood football, bus, sideline bus or whatever. Yeah, they was like, get in there and just push that dude in front of you. I was like, cool, let's do it.
You talking about in high school?
Yeah, 8th grade, dog. First day 8th grade practice. Yeah, dog. I was like, yep.
Well, that's understandable. I
was also concussed that day as well because for some reason I believe that when I was given my helmet, that the first thing I should do is test the helmet out on the brick wall. So yeah, I was concussed that day as well. Like you
concussed yourself?
Yeah, I didn't know it until like years later until I realized what a concussion was. But like yeah. So that might have contributed to me blacking out as well. Might just not have been the pain. And all this I'm thinking about right now, as a matter of fact.
Dude, how hard were you hitting your head up against the wall, Mike?
Yeah, dude, like, because Chris Dome and them used to do it. You remember Chris Dome and them when he was with the Vikings? Him and Jack Del Rio, the coach of the Raiders right now. They used to be like, bam, bam, bam. Yeah. So I thought that's what the hell you do. Not if you're 13, you don't. Anyway. As we come to the end of this first hour of foolishness and people saying dumb things, including us.
No, this been really good. You've been very enlightening, brother, with this whole CTE. Yeah.
Let's remember this is the Sports Kings podcast, as heard on Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. We can also be reached on social media, either Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Sports Kings Live. If you like, send us an email. sportskingslive@gmail.com, and we'll be right back with our